All right, guys, welcome to episode 2 of the Talk Before You Run podcast. Right below me, I have Baker. To the left of your screen is Fevno. To the right of your screen is Switch, and of course, my name is Travis. Today, we're going to have a few different topics that we're going to talk about. Kind of give you a little bit of rundown of that. First off, we're going to go into a little bit of sports. Then we're going to go into a little bit of a controversial influencers per se that's got a little bit of stuff going on right now. Uh, that I'm really interested to see what's going on with that. That is going to be Ferno's topic. Um, then we got a couple things that we're going to discuss on what our beliefs of a couple situations that happened over the last couple weeks, as well as we have some movies that's coming out and another thing that kind of correlates with that I don't want to give too much away from it. But so first off, we're gonna start off talking about the sports, and I want to start this off by saying congratulations to Damar Hamlin, number 3 safety for the Buffalo Bills, on him making such a great recovery from what happened to what he's been going through for the last week or so. Just to give y'all a little bit of backstory, if y'all don't know exactly what happened, they were in the game. It was Buffalo versus Cincinnati, and he took what looked to be a routine hit to the chest while making a tackle on wide receiver T. Higgins. In doing so, he then was collapsed on the field, to which they did CPR. Comes to find out that he had what they call comatose, which is basically he had a heart attack on the field. So the fact that he is awake, back in Buffalo, and is doing well, he does have a long road ahead of him as far as recovery goes, but for the most part, he's doing pretty good. So another thing, kind of stepping away from that, it's not really stepping away, but with that being said, there was, widespread, sadness for what had happened, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that in this situation, it kind of brought up a part of sports and football in itself that nobody kind of wants to, even admit that it exists, and that is the fact that these players do go out there to, try to entertain us, as well as, make them a little bit of money on the side as well. But mostly to go out there for the love of the sport and the love of the entertainment of the people. And they are putting their bodies on the line, and in that situation, their lives on the line. So I do just want to say congratulations to him, and that we are all happy that he is doing well. And even then, still in our prayers that hopefully his recovery is 100%. So, with that being said, we are going into the first week of playoffs in the NFL. And I want to talk about two key things as far as two teams that are going to be playing, and that is going to be injuries. I'm going to talk about one, and Baker will be talking about the other. And the first one being that Baltimore may not have Lamar Jackson play due to a knee injury that had sidelined him in Week 13. He sat out of practice this week. Hopefully he's able to make a recovery. Hopefully he's able to come back. But as of right now, they don't know. Beaker, would you like to take it off with the other one?
Yeah, so that goes for his Buffalo versus Dolphins. Dolphins. Sorry if I mess this up. Tua. Tua Tagovailoa. Is
Tagovailoa.
that Tagovailoa? Okay, I apologize. Out due to multiple concussions. So, um, they will be starting Skylar Thompson. Um, did you want to touch base on as far as the concussions
I do
or?
want to touch base on that. I don't know. That's another thing that I don't know if a lot of people seen it, but that is another situation in this sport that a lot of people, it's kind of overlooked when it comes to concussions. And we have gotten a lot better over the last however many years of diagnosing and treating concussions. So hopefully with him as well, he does have a speedy recovery. If they make it through the next round of playoffs, hopefully he's able to come back then. But as of right now, like he said, he has not been cleared by doctors in order to come off of, concussion protocol. And Skylar Thompson will be starting over Teddy Bridgewater. So transitioning from there, I kind of want to talk about the teams that we do have that are in the playoffs. And I kind of want to give a little quick rundown of who's playing who has the first round bye, as well as I want to get each and every one of their opinions on who they do believe is going to go on to the next round of the playoffs. So in the AFC, the first matchup that we're going to have is going to be Buffalo versus Miami. So I am personally choosing Buffalo in this situation first because of the fact that Tua Tagovailoa is not going to be able to play. And then on top of that, I am a very big fan of Josh Allen. And you will see throughout this list, I'm picking a lot of these teams based on the fact that I like the quarterback. Okay. And I'll be the first one to admit it. Beaker, I do believe you also are going with Buffalo
Oh yeah.
for this.
I did choose Buffalo for my prediction as far as being them having QB out, and yeah, I mean that was pretty much where
Even knowing about what do you say his name was?
Tua
To
Tagovailoa.
Sure, we'll go with that. Even knowing that he's out, I'm still pretty sure about the popular porpoise Miami. The Dolphins.
Okay, so you're still going with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
under.
I'm
If they
sticking
weren't,
to it.
yeah, if they
I,
weren't an
I
underdog before going in there playing Buffalo in the first round, they're definitely an underdog without Tua Tagovailoa, and looks like Switch likes to pull for the underdog. Ferno, what's your prediction for this game, Buffalo versus Miami?
Um, well, I don't watch multiple sports, but I have to go with Buffalo.
Buffalo.
But
Okay.
yeah, it's a very touchy subject because I don't really like to get into this. But I believe Buffalo might have the right hands to win this game.
Yeah, Buffalo's a really stacked team, and then of course whenever you got Josh Allen back there in the pocket
Hmm.
calling the plays and executing the way that he's been executing the last few years, I mean it's hard not to choose Buffalo.
Yeah.
So going on to the
Unless,
second game. Oh, was that Switch? You had something else to add?
well, I was going to say, unless you're uneducated about it on the matter like myself, and
Yeah.
just like them because they're Dolphins.
Yeah, and you just say you're choosing the underdog.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we'll go. We're not going to talk about the uneducated part. We're just choosing the underdogs. Okay, so the next game in the AFC is actually going to be Cincinnati and Baltimore, which we just touched on. Baltimore may and or may not have Lamar Jackson playing at quarterback. So for this game, I still picked Cincinnati even before I found out that Lamar Jackson may not be playing. Only because of the fact that Cincinnati, they were in the Super Bowl last year. They got a really good team. The only thing that's going to hinder them is the fact that T. Higgins will not be playing or has not practiced yet this week. Let me rephrase that. I'm not going to say that he's not playing because he may be. He has not practiced this week, so if he can't make it, that will be a kind of a big hit to the receiving core. But I do still think that Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase can pull out a win over Baltimore. Ferno, who do you have for this game? Cincinnati versus Baltimore.
Mm, well, I guess I have to go with. You bring up a valid point on Cincinnati. Uh, so I'm gonna have to go with them. Yeah. Even with them, not with their player not attending practice, it still might bring to a loss. But no, we have to watch.
Yeah, I mean you never know till the game's over with. Beaker, who did you pick for Cincinnati versus Baltimore?
I did go with Cincinnati, only because their QB has been doing pretty decent. Joe Burrow, he's averaging like 92% of his passing completions. So I mean, I kind of went with or at least his last game was. I'm sorry, let me rephrase it. His last game averaged about 92% of his completions, and I mean, with them being out, you know, it only makes sense. I think Ravens would be out on the crutch here without Lamar.
Yeah, it would be a big hit for Baltimore not to have Lamar, and like I said before, hopefully he has a speed of recovery and he is able to play because I think that would make one hell of a game, me personally. And saying that, out of all the games in the first round of the playoffs, if Baltimore can get Lamar Jackson back this week, that will be, in my opinion, the top game. Switch between Cincinnati and Baltimore. Who did you choose?
All right, so just from this conversation, I learned that the Baltimores are Ravens, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, what is Cincinnati?
Cincinnati is the Bengals.
Bengals. I picked Cincinnati early on because it was a 50-50. I didn't know either team, and I think I'll stick with that just because.
Just off the basis of what we was talking about here.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Hey, that's fair, man. I mean, some people are just now getting this information themselves, and maybe they're changing their picks. Maybe they're still keeping their picks. I mean, who knows? We might start talking about the next one, and I might change my pick anyways because, and speaking of the next one, is the one that I had the biggest struggle choosing between the two teams. And not even and there's only a couple reasons why I really struggled between choosing these two teams. So the next matchup in the AFC is going to be Jacksonville and the Los Angeles Chargers. So the reason why I struggled so much with this pick right here is because, I really would like to see Trevor Lawrence come in after everything and with the team that he has, and I'd like to see him succeed in the playoffs. But at the same time, I'm going to touch on this a little bit. With the Los Angeles Chargers, I'm really only picking them because of Justin Herbert. And like I said early on, the next few on this list is literally just because of the quarterback. But this one isn't just because I like the quarterback, but it's because of what he was going through at the beginning of the year. Everybody was writing him off at the beginning of the year, saying with Joe Burrow coming in, Trevor Lawrence coming in, and looking back in the couple years prior, they were saying that he was a really great quarterback. But then you have these two guys come in and they go and they do phenomenal. Trevor Lawrence being down there in Jacksonville and Joe Burrow being in Cincinnati, they have done things that nobody thought that they could. And they kind of wrote Justin Herbert off, saying that he was a social media quarterback and that he couldn't really hang in there with the rest of them. So the fact that he is able to make it to the playoffs in the first round, and then he's not even the lowest in the division as far as it goes. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Jacksonville is 4th, and the Chargers is 5th, and the only two right below them are Baltimore and Miami. If I'm not, I could be wrong, but I do believe that that's how it is. I think Baltimore is 6th, and Miami's 5, I want to say, but I could be wrong. But the fact that they wrote him off so early in the year, saying that he was a social media quarterback, and here he is in the playoffs and has a chance to prove everybody wrong, to me is just one of those. I want to see it happen. I want to see it happen. And when we get to the end of this, I'm going to tell you who I would like to see in the Super Bowl as far as this goes. I'm going to tell you who I don't want to see in the Super Bowl, too. We're going to talk about that one. I'm tired of seeing his name when it comes to Super Bowls.
We all know what you're talking about. We all know it.
Everybody, even people that don't watch football, know who I'm talking about. Because when you talk about Super Bowl, there's one name that's synonymous with it, aside from Vince Lombardi. And the only reason why Vince Lombardi is because of the Lombardi Trophy. But yeah, I would definitely like to see him at least move on through the first round of the playoffs, just to show that he can hang in there with the rest of them, make the playoffs, win a playoff game. And I mean, I just think that would be really good for him. Beaker, you had the same struggles that I did in choosing which team, right?
I mean, I originally had picked, for me, it was originally I was going to go with the Chargers, and the only reason I had gone with them is because they have done, overall really well. I hate going against my guy Trevor Lawrence, I really do, but I do want to see Justin Herbert, come through with everything. It's like I said, Trevor's he's great, he is, but one man can't play against the team. And as far as a team overall, I think the Chargers have it. Justin just kind of lays out the field, everywhere he needs.
Yeah, and it's hard not to root for Trevor Lawrence, man. It's the hair, bro. It's that them long golden locks he's got. It's hard not to root for him.
Kind of jealous myself.
Yeah, right. Fevno, what about you? Who did you choose between Jacksonville and the Chargers?
Of course, I'll pick the Chargers. They do have an overall stat. I'm going to have to pick because you can't complete a game without having some difficulties. But I think the Chargers will have it in the end.
Okay, so you're definitely going with a Chargers locked in 100%.
100%.
And that's absolutely fair. The Chargers have done phenomenal this year in the face of the fact that they haven't had the healthiest team. They've had a lot of injuries, and, man, all their people came back just at the right time to be able to get them into this spot. So, switch. Between Jacksonville and the Chargers, who did you pick?
Again, with the 50-50, I went with Jacksonville because I haven't watched football in quite some time. But 50-50 is the way to go.
50-50, flip a coin,
Yeah,
man. Sometimes that's the best outcome. Flip a coin.
Close your eyes and put a finger down.
Yep. Hey, can't complain with it. So, in the AFC, of course, once again, Kansas City won the overall division. So they do have a first round bye. So moving over into the NFC, in the first matchup, we have San Francisco and Seattle. Now this is one where I'm kind of going to get a little bit of hate on people that do watch a lot of football, because I am choosing Seattle over San Francisco. And there's only for one reason: Geno Smith. Geno Smith has been in the league for quite some years, and he's gotten his shot once or twice before, but he never really lived up to the expectation coming into the league. And here he is in Seattle. They had wrote him off right before the season ever even started. They gave Seattle a bunch of negative comments about how they got rid of Russell Wilson and went with Geno Smith. Now, coming from myself being a Broncos fan, okay. Yeah, okay, y'all can all laugh in the comments. It's fine. So, me being a Broncos fan, I was very excited that Seattle was going to make that change and go ahead and get rid of Russell Wilson and send him over to Denver. Now, coming to the end of the year, I wish we'd have got Geno Smith and they'd have kept Russell Wilson. But I digress. So, I picked Seattle just because of the comeback story of Geno Smith. The fact that he's been in the league for so long. He's had a couple shots, but he's never really been able to make much of it. And now here he is in the playoffs with his chance to go to a Super Bowl. I do have to say it is going to be a very tough matchup playing San Francisco in the first round. But Geno Smith this year has pulled some amazing feats off as far as, the games that he's been in. I think it'll be interesting to see, and I will definitely be rooting for him. Beaker, would you like to add anything? Who is your pick and why?
Okay, Eagles, and of course, Geno. I mean,
Geno, it's Geno, man. How can you root against Geno with everything that he's done this year?
So that's what I was gonna, I wanted to touch base with was Geno. He's had a terrific, a whole year. I mean, it's just. His comeback story is insane. I mean, I want to see him push through this. He's actually one of the few that I want to see make it to the end,
Yeah. Switch, you had something to add to that?
He said Eagles a while ago, and I'm confused. I thought Seattle was the Seahawks.
Oh,
see, that one I know.
It's fine. Eagles, Seahawks, they're both birds.
I'm sorry. Okay. I was looking at the bottom lane.
No worries. Well, like I said, I haven't been in sports in a while.
Yeah,
we could have changed the name.
I will have a personal topic on any of these things.
Okay, you're confusing me over here, man.
That's
I'm sorry.
I say Eagles, Seahawks. Right now. They both birds. It's all good.
But I would have to go with Seattle myself because I like I said, I actually know that team, or know of the team rather.
Okay. So basically, you're picking it because that's what you know, you're familiar with, and
Yeah,
there's
and
nothing wrong with that either.
they've been in the Super Bowl a couple of times, right?
Yes, and then that was during the Russell Wilson era, like we were speaking on a second ago. How everybody gave Seattle a bunch of hoopla about the fact that they went ahead and dropped Russell Wilson, a franchise quarterback, sent him to Denver for barely anything, and man, maybe they picked that to do that at the right time. Maybe he just had a slump year this year. I'm hoping next year he does better. Like I said, being a Denver fan myself, so
Right.
it'll be interesting to see. I think next season's really going to be interesting, and a lot of things happened this year that I don't think anybody really expected. Ferno, who is your pick for San Francisco and Seattle?
I'm gonna have to go with the biggest bird. But with the trade, really surprised me. He's like one of the fewer players I actually know about in football.
Mm-hmm.
But I've read up that he's not playing as well as he should. As you said, hope next year he does better. Me as well. So I am gonna have to go with the Eagles.
Okay,
It was a
so we're
surprising
going
trade.
Eagles instead of Seahawks again, but yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah,
The Eagles are
you're
going to win a
going.
game that they're not even playing.
Yeah, you're going with the birds. That's all that matters.
Yes, the birds.
So the next game on this list, and now this is another one that I'm gonna get a lot of hate for, and other than the fact of his nickname, and that's the only reason why I'm giving it to him, and that plus, I do think Kirk Cousins always chokes in primetime games, but we got Minnesota versus the New York Giants, and Danny Dimes, man, Danny Dimes. It's the nickname, and it's another one of those quarterbacks that everybody kind of wrote him off whenever he came in the league. When he first started playing for the Giants, he kind of had a little bit of issues, but then he kind of started to find himself. He got his footing, and now here he is in the playoffs. Do I think that they could beat Minnesota? Yes. Do I think that they will beat Minnesota? If Minnesota doesn't choke in prime time like they normally do, I don't think so. But I am going to root for him just because, I could say Danny Dimes every time he throws the ball. Baker, what about you? Who'd you pick for this one?
Giants.
So you also went with the Giants, okay?
Did. I have no specific reason. Honestly, I have not paid much attention to them as far as this season, but as a team and their history, I'll give it to them.
Okay. I mean, the Giants have had a great franchise, especially when Eli Manning was there playing. And a lot of people don't give Eli Manning the credit that he deserves. He won, 2 Super Bowls with the Giants. He is, broken many records himself as well as his brother Peyton. I mean, but when you talk about some of the greatest to play the game, Eli was definitely up there with the rest of them. So the Giants has always had a good name behind them, some good stats behind them as well. So I think that game will be interesting to see depending on how it goes. Ferno, what about you? Who'd you pick for Minnesota and the Giants?
Well, I am a yes man, so I'm gonna have to go with the Giants because I like the name.
Okay, so we're taking the New York Giants as a better name than the Minnesota Vikings.
Obviously,
I would have to disagree with you on that one because Vikings, but
me, I actually am blood descendant from a Viking, but come on, a giant versus a Viking. A Viking.
Yeah, but Vikings don't fight 1-on-1, man. So I think, despite the whole actually being Giants and Vikings fighting, I think the New York Giants is going to win this only because I want to root for Danny Dimes. Switch. Who did you choose between Minnesota and the New York Giants?
Giants, because I actually know the name Eli Manning.
So you know the name Eli Manning. So
of course he knows the name Eli Manning.
Who doesn't? The name Manning itself.
Between
Archie Manning, Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, all these people through the generations are always going to know that name. Then you got, oh man, one of their sons is in college, I do believe, right now. I'm not 100% sure if it was Peyton's son or Eli's son, but one of them's in college right now, and there's a possibility here in the next couple of years we might see another Manning enter the league, maybe a couple more. I think that'll really be interesting. See if they can live up to the name that their parents left behind. Because in my opinion, Archie Manning was was a name that was synonymous with football before. But now I think if you mention the name Manning, it's going to be a Peyton Manning or an Eli Manning that somebody's going to bring up. So you're picking the Giants based on the, Eli Manning,
Exactly.
the name,
Yeah.
Okay. So the last one on this list, and each and every one of these three gentlemen right here are going to be pissed at me for saying, and I'm going to be pissed at myself for saying it, because at the same time, at the beginning when we first started this list, I said that there was a certain somebody who I did not want to see in another fucking Super Bowl. Oh, excuse me.
AKA the GOAT.
AKA he can go suck a goat. And that is Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Dallas Cowboys. Now, as much as I would hate to see Tom Brady in another Super Bowl.
Don't even say his name.
As much as I would hate to see it.
I can go back on your word on what you said at the beginning of the show.
Look, I am rooting for Minnesota or the Giants to knock them off, or San Francisco and Philadelphia, whoever it is that he ends up playing. I'm rooting for any of the other ones beyond this, but I am taking Tampa Bay over Dallas just because I do not like Dallas.
You don't want to even let Dallas in the door?
No, I'm not even letting Dallas in the door. They got their foot in the door, but I think Tom Brady's going to slam that door on their foot.
Oh, man. I hope Dak is okay, man.
So, in my personal opinion, I am not the biggest fan of Dallas, only because I'm not a big fan of their quarterback, and I'm not a big fan of Ezekiel Elliott. And we can touch on that a little bit if y'all like. Me personally, if I'm going to root for Dallas, Cooper Rush better be playing. And I cannot stress that enough. I'm a huge fan of Cooper Rush. I had never been so excited to see what Dallas did in the game until he was playing. And only because his style is immaculate. And for being somebody who hasn't played until this season because of Dak Prescott being hurt, he just looked so comfortable out there. Like that's where he was meant to be. And I'd watch these games, and what's always kind of threw me off in the NFL, and I get you pay these quarterbacks and these running backs all this money and stuff like that, but in my opinion, I've always been, you give the hot hand the ball. And with the way Cooper Rush was playing through, 6 games, I do believe he played? Or was it 5? Something like that. However many games it was that he played in, it just seemed like he was just on fire. He was constant with it. He was probably, in my opinion, one of the most consistent quarterbacks at the time. So I wish they would have kind of kept him in there, maybe sat Dak for a couple more weeks. Or, after Dak came back and started doing Dak, they would have took him out and put Cooper Rush back in. See, look, Beaker's over here smiling. He knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know.
And as far as Ezekiel Elliott goes, I've always kind of had an issue with Ezekiel Elliott since he did that year where he sat out, made all that noise about wanting to get paid so much money, all for him to come back and play like shit. And I do like how he kind of turned it around this year. And me and Baker kind of touched on this a little bit earlier. Everybody started talking about Tony Pollard, about how he needs to take Ezekiel Elliott's place. And ain't nobody can tell me Zeke just kind of was getting old, and that's the reason why he wasn't playing good. Because the second they started talking about this new guy and how he can take Ezekiel Elliott's place and how they just need to get rid of Ezekiel Elliott and just stick with Tony Pollard, all of a sudden Ezekiel Elliott kind of got a little spark in him. Okay, he got a little pep in his step, a little fire letting up underneath his behind.
Just want to show you he still got it, all right?
So nobody can
more
tell
like
me
he was scared to lose the money.
Choosing and picking, okay?
Yeah, these last 3 or 4 years, they can't tell me he ain't still have it in the tank. He had it in the tank. He was just leaving it on reserve. So in my opinion, that's why I'm not a huge fan of Dallas, and I'm going to take Tampa Bay over Dallas.
He gonna bust it out this game.
Yeah, he's gonna bust that knee out. No, actually, let me take that back, because I don't wish injury upon anybody, but it's all in fun and games. I'd feel terrible if he actually went out there and blew his knee out now. But for those reasons, I am going to pick Tampa Bay over Dallas. Ferno, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on the Tampa Bay Dallas game.
Of course, Tom Brady. He's been in the game. Being a Houston's fan, they're not really the best, but they've always been a rival with Dallas. I don't really like Dallas's coach. Mike, he's just not really. He's not all there, mentally. But I don't want Tom Brady to win. I'm tired of seeing his name. So I'm going to have to go, sadly, with Dallas.
Okay. So you're kind of like me. See, I just don't want Dallas to win, but I also don't want to see Tom Brady another Super Bowl.
You're hoping that somebody knocks him out later on.
Yeah, I'm
okay.
hoping somebody.
Yeah, I'm like
he knocks out Dallas first, and then somebody else knocks him out later on. I think with Philadelphia, the way that they're playing, and then if San Francisco is to beat Seattle, either one of those two teams could probably knock him off.
Like I said, you don't even want to let us in the door.
But
I'd rather let Dallas
further in.
I would let Dallas get in the entry and then just completely cut them off. But I just want to shut down Brady right now. He's not bad player. I just don't want to see him win.
Yeah,
that might be a little bit hypocritical of me, but let Dallas in just a bit. Smell the chicken. Just don't feed it to him. Kick him out next game.
Let them smell the cooking, but tell them they can't have a plate. Switch, you go ahead and give me your input on this one. Yeah, Beaker, we're skipping over you again.
My was it my great grandfather? Maybe. Anyway, Cowboys have been in my family for quite some time, and I'm not a true fan because I don't watch them all the time. Again, because I've not been paying attention here lately. But when it comes down to it, I'm gonna choose Cowboys no matter what. But I'm a realist, so I'm not sure that they're going to go to the Super Bowl or anything. But I want them to win.
So you would just like to see them win if they can.
Exactly. I mean, I'm not expecting them to get to the Super Bowl, let alone win it. But it would be nice, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's totally understandable. I mean, you kind of stick with what you grew up around. See, I'm the complete opposite. See, I grew up around the Saints. I live in South Louisiana. All of my family is Saints fans, and I'm a Denver fan. Denver, Colorado. I've never even been to Denver.
It's so beautiful.
Oh, I could imagine, man.
It's so beautiful.
Nice and cold there.
It truly is.
I can imagine, and I've seen like videos and stuff like that of other people that were in Denver and stuff like that, and to me, that the landscape out there is just absolutely beautiful.
It is.
I've been over there recently, and it truly is a work of art.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you get to talking about those kind of places, and we're going to kind of get a little bit off topic here, but when you get to talking about those kind of places like Tennessee or places like Colorado, Wyoming, all those places where it's so open, and I say open, but it's not what we're used to seeing down here. Down here, like in South Louisiana, we have like the swamplands and stuff like that. And then, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of beautiful places down here as well, and throughout Louisiana. Just like I've been to Texas plenty of times, there's a lot of beautiful places throughout Texas. Switches from Oklahoma. Yeah, nobody talks about Oklahoma. No,
and wind.
Yeah, so a lot of hills and wind, but I'm sure there's still beautiful places out there in Oklahoma as well. But when you talk about like a state as a whole, when it comes to like Colorado, Wyoming, Tennessee, places like that, in a state as a whole, it's just absolutely beautiful. Actually, I've always said I'd never move out of Louisiana, but there's only three other states that I would move to, and that's Mississippi, Alabama, or Tennessee. That's the only other three states that I would move to outside of Louisiana. Okay, Baker, I can see you shaking in your seat over there a little bit, because I know you're waiting for me to ask you this question. I already know what your answer is going to be, but who are you taking between Tampa Bay and Dallas?
Tampa Bay, I guess.
Wow. Okay. Raider. Okay, let's take a step back here.
Wow.
Raider.
Wait.
Definitely not. No, I'm going with my Cowboys. I mean, it would never be that way. I'm sorry. I definitely don't want to see Brady, and
of course.
Hey, you don't want to let us in? Fine, we'll kick the fucking door in. All right.
Hey, look, if y'all kick the door in and y'all knock out Tom Brady out of the playoffs, I'm okay with that either way. But I am still going to root for Tom Brady to knock Dallas out of the playoffs.
That, but, you know,
I kind of want to keep the whole thing going on with Dallas being able to make it to the playoffs and choking in the first round. I think we should keep that as like a tradition now. But I think we should start another tradition, keeping Tom Brady out of the playoffs and out of the Super Bowl. Now, they got some diehard Tom Brady fans that are going to tell me otherwise, but, you know, fuck them. So I think that pretty much covers it as far as everything goes. I mean, for the NFC, I didn't really touch on this, but for the NFC, for the first round bye, you do have Philadelphia. So whoever wins between San Francisco and Seattle is going to go on to face Philadelphia. And I tell you what, I think if San Francisco is to beat Seattle and play Philadelphia, that would be one hell of a game, because that is going to be a game where there's no telling what's going to happen. With the way San Francisco's played this year and the way Philadelphia's played this year, I think that would just be absolutely immaculate of a game. So I kind of want to give my pick for who I'd like to see in the Super Bowl, though, and it's not a totally realistic pick considering who all's they'd have to go through to be able to get there. But I would like to see the Chargers in Seattle play in the Super Bowl, because I think it would kind of give a little bit of a feel of like how it was last year with Cincinnati and Matthew Stafford and the Rams. Matthew Stafford being in the league for so many years, playing in Detroit, never made it to the Super Bowl, comes to the Rams, gets his shot, and makes it, and then wins. And to me, that would, going into that game, I was okay with whatever the outcome was last year. Joe Burrow coming out of LSU, being down here in Louisiana, Jamar Chase also being down here out of Louisiana, coming from LSU, and just the things that they did last year was phenomenal. But I was okay with whatever the outcome came to. And I think if we get a Chargers-Seattle game, it'll be kind of the same atmosphere. We'd have one quarterback coming to make a comeback, and then we'd have another quarterback coming to prove himself. And to me, it's those kind of stories, those kind of moments that make sports, the most interesting. So I think it'll be interesting to see exactly what's going to take place these next couple weeks as far as to see who's going to make it to the playoffs. Make it through the playoffs, should I say. So moving on from there, I kind of said it in the beginning. There's a couple of very, how would I put it, to influence that controversy just seems to follow them around.
Never let go of.
Yeah, just yes. Engulf them. And Ferno's going to actually talk on this subject, and you go ahead and take it off.
Yeah, you know what they say about the internet. You could truly never get away from it. Just like Andrew Tate. Now, he's a very controversial topic. Some people like him, some people hate him, some people are neutral, and I can see both subjects. But recently, of December 29th, 2022, he was arrested along with his brother. Now, the reason was for human trafficking, which he got arrested for, I think, a couple years ago, maybe 2015, 2016. He was arrested for human trafficking, and it was found that he was not guilty. But since he's grown to popularity, Romanian girl has said that he has tried to seduce her when she was in high school. Now, with that, they say that there's not enough logical evidence that he did try to, bring her into his trafficking. But right before Andrew Tate got arrested, I'm trying not to lead off of that topic, he tweeted at a global warming expert, which she says she doesn't want anyone to talk about the subject, which I'm not going to bring her name into, but he tweets, "The Matrix is attacking me. It's disturbing and you cannot kill the idea. It's hard to kill. So he said in an interview that the Matrix will first shut you down, which obviously he has been shut down from, multiple websites, which may or may have not been good. Second, they will arrest him, which, of course, he has been arrested. And three, they will try to murder him. Now, he has been rushed to the hospital due to health problems. Andrew Tate said that he did a scan. He went to the doctor. Everything was fine with him. There was nothing wrong. He was perfectly fine. Only thing was wrong with him that he's an asthmatic, which he said that he is outgrown, and it barely affects him. Tristan has not said, his brother, Tristan Tate, has not said anything about the subject and will not say anything about the subject. I have no clue why, and it's very, very concerning. Because I do believe that if Andrew Tate was considered by the Matrix, everything he has said will happen. Those three things about getting shut down, arrested, and killed are almost halfway done, and I'd hate to see that. To see him die would just lead into his conspiracy theory that the Matrix is real, and that he was correct. Do y'all have any subjects on or any topics about that?
So I do want to ask you this because I was a little bit confused whenever you said it. Whenever you said Tristan Tate is not one to comment on the situation, are you talking about the whole Matrix thing as a whole, or are you talking about the fact that he had to be rushed to the hospital for, I do believe it's heart problems that he's having, right?
Yes. So he won't talk about the heart problems. Now, Tristan Tate has always talked about how they may be in the Matrix, but he has not gone into the complete conversation Andrew Tate has. I feel like if they did, Andrew would not be as popular, as he is now. The brothers would be more popular together than just Andrew, because a lot of people know about Andrew and not his brother.
Okay, yeah.
Just
Well,
out
I mean,
of
Andrew.
curiosity,
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Switch.
when you say he's talking about the Matrix, he's not talking about when they think we're in the Matrix, like in the movie Matrix, or are you talking
No,
about
no.
the internet Matrix?
So, what he calls it is the Matrix. I'm not concerned why. He has said multiple times to take the red pill and go out of government contact.
Okay, so he's just using the Matrix movie as it.
Yeah. He's just trying to figure out a name to title it,
Okay. Baker, do you have anything to add to that as far as the whole Matrix thing goes?
I am not big on that kind of stuff as far as like influencers and stuff. The take as far as the Matrix thing, I mean, hey man, anything's possible at this point.
Of course. Yeah.
So I kind of want to backtrack a little bit as far as when he was arrested. So he was arrested, which you said it was December 29th in investigations of human trafficking, rape, and organized crime.
Yes.
With the alleged, 16-year-old Romanian girl. So I read an article that she had did an interview with BuzzFeed.
I believe that was the thing, yes.
Yeah, so in BuzzFeed, she had talked about how he had contacted her when she was 16 years old and she was still in high school, her and a few of her friends, over Instagram, like slid into her DMs on Instagram. So she had provided screenshots. Okay, and this is where I want to kind of get y'all's opinion on it. She had provided screenshots of a message, not necessarily saying anybody's name or anything like that. I mean, the screenshot itself, not me keeping people's names out of it. So in a screenshot, it said I'm going to put, quotation marks, Romanian girl, and then a strawberry. I don't know what the hell the strawberry has to do with anything. I have no idea.
I don't know either.
It's a fruity conversation.
Hey, maybe he was a fruity kind of guy. You know what I'm saying?
Right?
Toxic masculinity makes you a little fruity sometimes.
Yeah, that's it.
So she provided screenshots of this alleged message from Andrew Tate, and when she provided the screenshot, it did show an account with a blue check mark, but the account was a removed account from Instagram. So now in August of, I do believe it was this year, this past year, his Instagram account was removed. My question is how much do y'all, and I don't know exactly when she did this. It never gave an exact date on when she did this article with BuzzFeed. The only thing it really said was it kind of gave a little bit of backstory of that. Kind of gave a little bit of backstory of her father, who was a parliament at the time. I'm not 100% sure what that is. I do know it. I do believe it has something to do with their government or something.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of really the only information that it gave. Then it went into talking about this screenshot. So my thing is, do y'all think that is something that they could have, maybe over exaggerated or faked or something like that, just to kind of throw a little bit more, I want to say, gas on the fire?
Right. I definitely think it could have been fake, but I don't have a clue because I don't.
Yeah,
personally haven't seen it, and this is like only the second time I'm being appraised of this situation. So.
Okay.
Like stuff like that.
And I'm not a big Andrew Tate fan. I'm neutral on him as a person.
Yeah, I try to stay neutral on all the subjects. But
same way with me as well. Speaker, what about you? Do you have anything to add as far as that part goes, or what?
No, I'm kind of with Switch here as far as hearing about that. Is like I said again, I don't pay attention to Andrew Tate and his shenanigans. I don't. I mean, I guess as far as maybe faking it to add fuel, I can understand.
Well, I
But
mean, we've seen instances before where, they would sit there and come out with these articles and stuff that would come out to not be true just because this person may and or may not have widespread fame or whatever,
yeah,
just to kind of try to get a little bit of a tug on whatever it is they're trying to portray.
yeah, and that's what I'm. Andrew Tate as a person. I mean, there's a lot of people that like him, but there's also a lot of people that don't. So I mean,
yes.
anything is possible when it comes to making anything on the internet.
Yeah, I mean, anything on the internet could be faked. Yeah, Ferno, go ahead.
Yeah, like the stuff you're saying. Easily, a lot of things can be faked. It wouldn't surprise me if it was, and if it wasn't.
Hold on a second. I thought everything on the internet was true. Especially the things you read.
If only it was. Like a lot of people do, they try to take fame. They'll go through after anyone, no matter anything. You could be the most popular person and accidentally spit on the floor wrong, and then now you're 2 years in jail. It's truly sad, but it's just the way the world is now. But,
yeah, and unfortunately, that is the way that it is. I mean, if you go out there and I'm not saying that he's done these things. I'm not saying that he hasn't done these things. Because I don't know. I'm not around him. I'm not there. I couldn't tell you from what I've read. I mean, it could go either way, and I say it can go either way because there's so much widespread hate for this man. And the reason why, and a lot of the things that he says, I think he kind of portrays it in a negative way, but I don't think it's negatively speaking. So I think the way that he comes off and says a lot of things that he says does come off as, being overly aggressive, being misogynistic, and all.
Yeah, being over aggressive and misogynistic is like one of his traits that has been said. That one of the women that he has at his establishment has filed that they have seen Andrew Tate with their eyes choke at least 10 different times, like choke women 10 different times and abuse them. Which, that's definitely something you don't want to, like, lie
Seeing with
about.
their eyes as opposed to with their fingers and nose? What are we talking about here?
Look, I mean, I'm just saying. And then nowadays you can't say anything because they got people that's into that kind of stuff.
Right?
Yep.
So
We're not shaming anybody.
yeah, we're not shaming anybody because I mean everybody's into their own little kinky shit. But okay, let's get off that subject. We're not going to talk about that part no more. So in a way, however you take it, whether with a grain of salt or without, I mean, Andrew Tate has said some things that do make sense. And no, you may not agree with the way that he said it. No, you may not agree with it at all. But I mean, at the same time, everybody's adding fuel to this fire themselves because they're giving him all of this. Well, how does that saying go? Negative publicity is better than no publicity.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, if everybody's going to give you more by hating on you because of something that you do, why not feed off of it? I mean, who's to say he's really like this? I mean, he may not even be. Or even like, you may have, like you had said, this woman that he has at his establishment or whatever, seen that. Maybe he had her go out and say that because, I mean, still, bad publicity is better than good publicity. They'll have no reason to talk about him if they knew, if he wasn't like that. Now, I'm not saying he is, I'm not saying he isn't. But if he wasn't like that, they would have no reason to talk about him. So, do you have anything else that you need to add to that situation, Ferno?
Not particularly, no.
Okay, so that pretty much covers the whole topic then.
Yeah.
Okay, so you do have another. There's another popular influencer that is.
And he goes by the name of Logan. Logan Paul has always been controversial. As I said earlier, I like to stay neutral, but this, like, sometimes you just can't, and with this side, you really can't be neutral. Logan Paul is really trying to, but with his Crypto Zoo NFT game, which, people have spent multiple money, like a lot of money, to invest in the NFT game. Which, I guess when they didn't make their money back, they were putting the money in there. They weren't necessarily going to get it back. I'm pretty sure they knew that in the back of their heads, but no, they wanted to trust their favorite YouTuber that would help them out because, he's so popular. But just like DeForest, he's trying to get away from that and bring in like more followers than haters, which he didn't really do when he lost his pig Pearl. Now, Pearl was, he said it was a micro pig, which, what I believe, do not exist. But a certain animal shelter found Pearl right next to another deceased pig. It's sad to, read and hear about. But the Gentle Barn has said that they found the pig in 2020, I believe. And Logan Paul left for Puerto Rico. He said he was going to leave to go to Puerto Rico since 2019. They found the pig just completely alone. He had hasn't been taken care of for, it seemed, about a year, what they were estimating. Which, one thing that you shouldn't do when you're trying to get people on your side is domesticate a pig. They said that it's full health, the pig is perfectly fine. They don't know about mentally, though, which is truly sad to hear about.
Yeah, but I mean, who in this world is really mentally fine these days? So...
True.
Surprised no one's made micro bacon.
Hey, miniature bacon, I like that. So,
yeah, don't get me hungry now, we just started this.
Right? Going back to the whole Crypto Zoo thing, I had read an article where a dude had invested, I believe it was $40,000 into this Crypto Zoo.
Yes.
And he had made all these promises about the eggs hatching and stuff like that, and I do believe not even an egg, not a single egg had hatched. Everybody had bought one, right?
Technically, they did hatch. But the thing is, it is a gambling website. So there was a chance that you wouldn't get an NFT at all through the eggs. which when they hatched the few that did, none of them had NFTs in them. So sadly, what they did first is they put in the false eggs before they actually added in the real NFTs, which people were saying was bad coding. But at that point, you think it'd just be a complete scam.
Well, NFTs in themselves are relatively new.
Yes.
Which I can see, I can almost buy that. But, with CryptoZoo being what they are, and having all kinds of different employees who, know the language of coding, I don't know if I buy it.
Yeah, and like speaking on what Switch said a little bit, with it being so new, you don't really know all that much.
But if your favorite YouTuber is gonna tell you that the best new game's gonna come out, and you just gotta spend a little over $1,000, aren't you going to? You watch them for your entire life. You truly trust them.
Sorry,
on the internet,
but that's just
right?
not something I would do. That's me
Yeah,
personally.
but you are most people.
YouTube's
Some
on the
people-
internet, right? So everything on YouTube is true.
Yep. People blindly follow. It's truly
Yeah.
sad, but that's just today's world.
True.
Whatever their favorite social media person is saying, they'll hop on that train. But Logan, he isn't the smartest of people, especially once he goes up against a guy who I truly endear, CoffeeZilla.
Okay,
CoffeeZilla.
Before you get into this whole conversation,
Okay.
I do kind of want to back up a little bit where you said Logan's not the smartest person. I mean, for a guy who I do believe it just came out at the beginning of this year, whose net worth is $45 million, he's got to be pretty smart at something.
Right, and he's got his own podcast. He's got several different businesses.
Yeah, and
Yes.
he may not.
I'm not saying that like he's.
responsible. And I mean, even then, he's still got to be responsible for the things that he does too, as well. But I think what it is he tries to get in a little bit over his head, and then he just kind of tries to back out of it, hoping nobody would realize it. And going back to that article that I had read, and because like before you get into the whole CoffeeZilla thing with the $40,000, he kind of said it best. He said that he doesn't want a refund, that he would like for the game to actually be released, be fixed.
Yes.
So I think it's not that he's not a very smart person, because business wise he would have to be in order to be where he is today and be as big and as popular as what he is. So I think, like I said, it's just a little bit of a getting over his head type of thing.
Yeah, I'm not saying that he's like mentally challenged, but once you try to grab for something and you pull back real fast, someone's gonna notice. You can't just walk out of that and then trying to act like you didn't do it. That's the dumb part. That's where he isn't the smartest. And but if you do try to get social media or break something on a social media platform, someone's gonna notice. And as I said about CoffeeZilla, he noticed pretty fast, and it didn't take a genius to notice that this thing probably wasn't gonna work. So CoffeeZilla tried to DM everyone who did spend money on CryptoZoo and see what happened. They wanted to get their point of view. No one got any NFTs. Logan Paul said that their staff was not working. That people were trying to ransom off the money that they were acquiring and to drop CryptoZoo. That's what Logan Paul said to CoffeeZilla, and he did text his Discord. This is quote unquote from Logan Paul. Hey y'all, just wanted to update y'all. I deleted my initial response to Coffee's series. It was rash and misleading. With the true issue at hand, so I called to him today and apologized. The war is not with Coffee. In fact, I am grateful he brought it to light. I will be taking accountability and apologizing and coming forward to the plan in the near future. Thank all of y'all for believing the project and sticking with me. I know it's been bumpy, but with your support anything will help me. And this will and has made my night, and I will make this right.
Okay, so let me ask you this. By any chance, I do know that Logan Paul was partnered with another company as far as the coming out with the crypto zoo. By any chance, do you have that name written down?
Hold on. I believe I do somewhere.
Okay, well, I mean, even if not, it's not that important.
Mhm.
As far as it goes, I do know he was partnered with these people, and they kind of pulled out from underneath him. And I do believe that maybe that happening could be one of the bigger causes of the launch and release and the issues that they are having. Because
Yeah.
when he released the apology, and not just the apology on Discord, I do believe he made a video about it as well. Looking back at some of the other things that he has done, whether or not you want to talk about the whole, Japan incident or not, when you look back at some of the other things that he's done and the apologies that he's released there, this one just to me seems a lot more genuine. Like he really wanted this to work. And I think like he had said in his response to the Discord, his initial response to CoffeeZilla, which I do believe he even threatened to sue him over that.
Yes, he has dropped. He completed it, but when you do try to sue someone from defamation, you have to understand that the only reason if they're defamating is if they're trying to break down and lie about the truth.
Yeah, false
Which
accusation.
CoffeeZilla is doing the complete opposite. So that's why me personally, I believe that Logan Paul dropped the sue.
Well, that kind of goes into what it was that I was saying. When he kind of said that and did that, it was a rash right off the bat. Didn't kind of really know what was going on with the crypto zoo, as far as mechanically wise, and like a behind the scenes type of thing. So, like I said about the apology, the fact that it seemed more genuine, and the fact that it seemed like he really, really wanted this to work. And then he recanting his statement to CoffeeZilla, or recanting the fact that he's going to sue him, kind of speaks to me as in the same light that he didn't want all of this to be an issue. He wanted Crypto Zoo to succeed and stuff like that.
Yeah, I truly believe that Logan Paul did, and as you're saying, with the backstage stuff, his co-founder Zach Kelling, went to Switzerland and held the Crypto Zoo, the program, hostage for $1 million, and Zach absolutely was not going to give it to anyone until he had that $1 million, which Logan Paul had no idea what to do, so he was holding it back until he could figure out what to do. CoffeeZilla, of course, wanted to break down to the truth, wanted to get everyone's point of view, which I truly respect him for that. Went to Zach and asked him why he held the money, or held the Crypto Zoo program for $1 million. Zach says that he was not getting paid at all, nor was his teammates or his partners.
So let me ask you this: are these the people that were working on Crypto
Yes,
Zoo?
They were working on Crypto Zoo.
Okay.
They said Logan Paul agreed to pay them monthly, I believe. Then he said, or Logan Paul stated that it would be difficult to pay them every month, but that's what he will try to. For the next year or two, I believe that Crypto Zoo was being made. No one was getting paid. Not Zach, not his partners, no one. And especially if you're gonna hype something up with Logan Paul hyping it up and his yes men with him, you have to make everything important, especially your programmers.
Well, and as far as what I know, isn't like Mike Malak real big in NFTs and stuff like that, like outside of the Crypto Zoo? Like has he talked about that before?
He's touched light on it, barely.
Okay.
But
were they the only ones not getting paid?
Yeah, they were the only ones not really getting the in-source.
Well, I mean, technically, we're not the only ones getting paid because the people that were investing their money into this wasn't getting it in the back return like they were promised.
So the false NFT eggs sound more malicious than anything now.
Yes. So I'm not trying to make it that Logan Paul made the eggs not work on purpose. He truly wanted CryptoZoo to work, and I believe everyone did. But Logan Paul just didn't want to take that extra little step and pay his employer.
See, and that leaves
and his employees
a question to stand at the end of this. Who's to say that he expected all of this to work, but because he wasn't able to pay, and now they're saying that they didn't get paid. But if they continued to work for the next 2 years, it's kind of really on them because I'm not going to work without getting paid. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. That's when I was reviewing. I was questioning.
Makes sense to me. So the way that I would look at it would be, who's to say that they weren't, figuring out something to kind of funnel this into themselves. You know what I'm saying?
As I was doing research, because I had that exact same question: why would they keep on working if they weren't getting paid? Also, CoffeeZilla did too. So he asked him that question. He stated that Logan Paul is a good convincer, which I'm that's not really like a good counter argument to sit there and work there for 2 years.
I don't care who you are. If you tell me you're going to pay me,
and then you don't pay me,
I'm not going to sit there for 2 years and not getting paid.
Yeah, 24 months of not getting paid, but working on something that at the end of the day they would make money off of. So
fool me once, shame on me, or fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Yes, which at this point would have been fooled multiple times.
Yeah, at least 24 times.
So, at least. So that's truly Zach's fault and his employees. Now, his employees have said that they really wanted CryptoZoo to work. So did Logan and Logan's Yes Man at his podcast. That's why Logan said he wouldn't hype up something that wouldn't work. But even if
the colorblind glasses.
Yeah, I don't believe he's actually as colorblind. Those was
nor do I, but he hyped that up a lot, right? And they don't.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, they don't actually remove colorblind. They help colorblind people differentiate.
Okay, so so we could kind of work into the argument like this. They can't say that everything it is that Logan Paul does is a scam.
Right.
As far as like companies go, because I mean, what is it? He's a drink company, Prime, which I do believe he's partnered with KSI.
Yes, popular UK rapper and boxer.
He does YouTube.
Yeah, and YouTuber.
Okay, so he has partnered with KSI as far as all of that goes.
Yes.
So it's not like he's going out there and doing all these things and everything that he's doing is a scam, and I do believe that that's the way that a lot of people are kind of making it seem like.
As I said about Andrew Tate, if you have popularity, someone's gonna try to take it from you, especially when you don't really try to touch on the subject. If you are gonna like do something this big and have much people put this much money into it, and then just not assist the situation, people are gonna start hitting on you. And I bet we can all agree on that.
I do agree with that, and then like you said, touching on it, I mean the second you start getting a little bit of traction with like popularity or something like that, that's when everybody comes out the woodworks. And again, it always goes one of two ways: either they're your best friends or they absolutely hate you.
And the crypto market doesn't necessarily have very good security in place because there's been a couple occasions where people make cryptocurrencies. Not just NFTs, but cryptocurrencies that don't actually go anywhere. And they try to steal the money. Like they just arrested the FTX people. I don't remember their names or anything. I didn't read too much into it. But it was like late last year
Mhm.
because they tried to pull the wool over everybody's eyes with their uh, false crypto or whatever.
hmm Not trying to get away from anything, but as I said earlier, Logan Paul had a pig. Um, if you are gonna try to hype up something this much and then it fails, one thing you don't want to leak is you abusing animals. I
Oh
did
yeah,
touch on that briefly, but not even adjusting the situation, is truly gonna make people dislike you. So I feel like maybe it's not Logan's fault. Okay, I'm not saying he was primed to crime. I'm just saying that he could have done it differently.
Yeah, he could
Now,
have handled the whole situation better.
yeah, completely differently. Now, if the pig, I believe, name is Pearl, which people are calling it Pearl, he hasn't owned it in a while. People don't know if he has sold it. Which, if he has, Logan Paul probably should stop trying to contact people, because if he is working with people who are scamming or who have scammed and just scammed him for $1 million, um, he probably should stop trying to meet people. Um, but Logan Paul has gone in a downward, skyward since you know everything that's happened. I don't know if y'all know much about Logan Paul himself. He's always been in some type of controversy, especially when NFTs, which I believe are a scam, okay, have such a touchy subject.
I mean it's
And
debatable whether they're a scam or not.
Well, not
yeah,
only that, as we all know, with the biggest controversy that Logan Paul has been a part
yes,
of, being what was it, Suicide Trail in Japan and filming that.
yes, the Suicide Forest.
Yeah,
Now,
Suicide Forest. That's what it was.
it is a tourist attraction, which I don't know how, but
Japan, bro.
yeah, yeah, if you are gonna go film it, and then if you do see a deceased person, I don't think you should film it.
Or at
I'd
least
cut
not
that
post
part
it.
out. Yes, I'd cut that part out if
Yeah, and then
fast.
he tried to justify it by like blurring out the whole thing. Um,
Uh-huh. Which maybe that's not Logan's fault. Here's the counter argument: Logan Paul does not edit his videos,
This
so
is true.
that was not his part to cut that out. But it could have been. It could have been his part. He had full right to cut that out,
Right. He could
but
have
he
said, "Hey,
wanted the
editors, cut this
content.
part out."
yeah, and I don't see
Yeah.
that really being an argument because, like, okay, so we'll go with this for example. I mean, I edit these to post on
Mm-hmm.
YouTube and stuff like that, and if at any point in time y'all want something cut out, all you gotta do is say it. And
Mm-hmm.
that goes the same thing for him. And I mean, y'all don't pay me to edit these videos. I'm just saying. No, but he pays these editors, and he probably pays them very well.
Yeah, you've
So
seen
if
his network.
he's
You touched on that.
yeah, $45 million net worth. I mean, I'm sure he pays his editors and filmers and all very very well. I mean, hell, I might go get a job for him. So he has the say, and I'm sure that they probably rough cut a video, and because a lot of YouTubers and stuff, and this is how they'll do it. They'll rough cut a video, and then they'll send it off to say Logan Paul or whoever, and they'll watch it and they'll go, okay, so I want to do this, this, and this now, and then they'll send it back to their editor, so on and so forth. So
Mm-hmm.
I think in the way that it ended up being is he just left that in the video because he thought it would make good content, and
Yeah.
it kind of
Wanted the
completely
attention.
backfired on him.
Yeah. So.
But it's always something with the Paul brothers because it's both of them. They're both
Yeah.
really surrounded by controversy. Logan, in
I
my
think they
opinion,
do
being a
that
little
by
bit more
choice,
than the
though.
other. It is a little by choice, a little not by choice.
But which one was it that faked their death? Was it Jake or Logan?
I didn't know either one
Like
of them did. Hold up,
in
this is
front of
new
the
for
Oh
me.
crowd.
yeah, yeah. This is new
Oh, a long
information
time ago.
upon me.
Oh man, it was like 5 years ago, I want to say, give or take. There was a crowd of their fans. I don't remember which brother it was, but the fans were outside, and he had paid someone to sneak up behind him while he was waving to his fans in his like a apartment or residency of some sort, and fake blowing out his head, and they had fake blood going on the window and everything, and it was being televised and all that. He had to retract that.
This is the first time I ever hear about it, but that just sounds like something Jake Paul would do.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Ferno, you're
That's
looking it up, aren't you?
Oh yes. So Logan Paul. It says here. I'm gonna read this.
Damn it,
Oh,
it
it's a
was
load.
Logan, not Jake. Okay.
of course.
Yes. Logan Paul. Sick. He called it a sick prank after it all hit millions of his fans. He went out and faked the video. Oh, there's a video here. He faked it. They have everyone screaming. He was 22 when this happened.
Young
So
and dumb.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it has a picture of him still alive. He's perfectly fine. It's nothing bad happened to anyone except it scared some of his
Well, obviously.
followers.
Right?
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, hell, I'm not even into it all like that, and cause back then, I mean, I do follow him now just because I do like to see what all's going on. But I mean, back then, hell, even if I would have been there and I'd have seen it, I'd have been like, whoa, you know.
hmm But Logan Paul, he was known for doing sick breaks, quote unquote. But he did do. I know for a fact he did an apology video on the forest, and he hasn't done an apology for the fake suicide.
I thought he did.
Well, I'm sure he had to.
Yeah. Maybe he has. I don't see it now.
So you can't
But
do something in the eye of mainstream media and not go back and apologize for it. Especially in a
Exactly.
situation like that, they will not allow you to do that.
That was my first, I guess, encounter on media, like, of him or the Paul brothers in general. And I pretty much try to avoid everything Paul wise,
Well, one of
just
my
because of
biggest
that.
things, not just talking on the Paul brothers, but like in the mainstream media itself, you have all these people, and this is like a perfect example is Logan Paul when he recorded dead body in the suicide forest, or this situation right here, which, like I said, this is the first time I'm hearing of it. Um, all it takes is an apology.
Yeah, but if you
You,
keep doing something over and over, and
Your apologies don't mean anything.
but
exactly,
that's what I'm
you're just
saying.
saying
It
the word.
happens. I mean, it happens. But I mean, even then, uh, like all these movie stars and stuff like that who may do something in the eyes of the mainstream media that they're getting a bunch of backlash for. They'll get online and they'll tweet out an apology, or they'll make an apology video, but that who's to say that they're not still doing that behind closed doors when nobody else is looking? I mean, they didn't expect to get caught doing it before, so they didn't
Right.
expect to have to make an apology. Or if they did do it out in, the mainstream media world, and in like a situation like with Logan Paul and the whole Forrest thing or the suicide thing, um, doesn't mean he won't do something else along those lines later on. Just may not be the exact same thing, but he's still sitting there and he'll apologize for it over and over again. So just the world of the mainstream media, they just like to be mad at somebody for a little while, and then it's fine. It's something to talk about, is what it all boils down to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
guess.
hard to keep talking about something when there's something that's been discussed over and over again.
That's understandable. Yeah, I can see
Mhm.
that, but I don't see the point of someone going out of their way to do something stupid or silly or whatever just because they want people to talk about something.
Yeah, and then not only that is when it comes to like the talking points and stuff like that, they become so repetitive.
Right.
So if you do something like that goes back to what I said before. Bad publicity is still better than no publicity. So they'll pull these stunts knowing that they could just make this apology video. And not only will the stunt itself be talked about for months, then the apology video will be talked about for months. And if you do like a comeback, like what Logan Paul did after the Forest incident, his comeback is talked about for months. So it's kind of, in a
Or in this
way,
case, years.
that over exposure is kind of influencing them to do this, because they know that they can get that exposure. They know that they can get talked about every day, or whatever the case may be. So let me ask you this, Ferno. Do you have anything else to? Oh, I'm sorry, Beaker. Go ahead.
No, that's all. I was just saying, you never know with the Paul brothers. Like, they're very, they're willing to do whatever for, the fame, and whether they choose to, whether it be a video or some kind of, influential, argument that they're in, or they really do think highly of themselves the way they do.
Yeah, but you gotta understand, back in 2018, the whole like popular thing was to prank, and that's what Logan and Jake raised the fame to.
Yeah, but at some point in time, you got to know when
To
a
stop.
prank goes too far.
Yeah, I
I
100%
don't
agree.
think recording in a forest like that and posting it falls under that.
I haven't
Well,
seen them
no.
box, but apparently neither of them can box.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Jake Paul's undefeated in the boxing ring so far.
Yeah, money will buy your way through that. So
Well,
Yeah.
we're not going to get into that controversy right now. We'll save that topic for another podcast. Who knows? Maybe we might talk about that one in the next one. Do you have anything else to add on about Logan Paul and the crypto zoo and all?
That is my end of the conversation.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to give the floor to Baker. This is where we're going to talk about something. We're going to kind of leave this as like an open-end discussion, because the views can be so differently. So Baker, go ahead.
So what we got is a Mexican restaurant in Houston has fallen victim to 2 crimes in a 5-day period. One of the crimes takes place late at night. It's a robbery. They steal from the crane machines, the vending machines, and the cash register, leaving with a couple $100. Breaking in, they smashed and broke the door. Just days prior had been shot out due to a shooting taking place in the same restaurant by one of the customers during the time of which the the restaurant and its customers were being robbed. The customer was going around, or the robber was going around stealing valuables, money, anything he could from the customers. At which point he walks past one individual, unnamed. He 46 years old, and the guy shoots him in the back. There is controversy because this man is now facing charges, our grand jury looking at charges for defending the restaurant, but also shooting this guy in the back. Was it self-defense? Was he in immediate danger? I do believe, in Texas, if you're gonna do something like that, you gotta know and believe that people are well armed. You may get lucky here and there. But this individual, this robber, decided to bring a fake gun. The robber was killed in this shooting. So I don't think it was the best idea to. What's up?
I mean,
the robber had a fake firearm, correct?
Yes,
yeah.
the robber had a fake firearm, and they didn't find out
But
until after.
he was threatening people too.
He was
That
he was
the people.
brandishing the gun as though it was a real firearm, but it
Yes.
just had turned out to be fake.
Play stupid games, get stupid rewards.
That's
Yes.
kind of the same
So
way that I look at it.
if we're giving out sides, I do believe that the guy who shot the rubber in the back may have been in the right. He was protecting himself and the fellow employees. Even if that gun was real or fake, that doesn't justify
Well, in the heat of the
that you
moment,
should have robbed. Yeah, in the heat of the moment,
in the heat of the moment, in a
you,
situation
you
like that, and they talk about the same thing with like if you're even a child outside playing with like an airsoft gun or something like that, don't point it at people because you never know, what those people might actually think. And as somebody who does carry, um, in the same situation, to be honest with you, I probably would have did the same thing. This guy comes in this restaurant, he's brandishing a firearm. You don't know whether or not it's real or fake. Nobody else in there knows whether or not it's real or fake. I don't believe, does it say if it was like a plastic firearm or if it was like an airsoft BB
It's a
gun or something like
replica.
that? What was that?
It was a plastic replica.
Okay, so it's a plastic. Okay,
plastic replica.
there's the
So
keyword right there,
Well,
replica.
replica,
I wouldn't
yes.
say plastic. I think it's more of like one of those high-end airsofts, you know.
Okay, so but there's
Oh,
the keyword in there is replica.
replica.
So I have seen some of these
That
replica.
means
Go ahead,
Made to
Fernando.
look exactly the same.
that if it's replicating, it has to be as close as the gun as possible.
Right.
So unless you see the ammunition, there's no way in telling that it's not an actual firearm.
Yeah, and in the heat of the moment, in the situation with your adrenaline pumping and everything going as fast as it goes, somebody's in there swinging a gun around, whether it be a replica gun or a real one. You're not going to know the difference, not unless it's in your hands or whatever the case may be. But like I said, as of somebody who carries themselves, and in that situation, you don't know. Like I said, whether or not that gun is real, you don't know if his intent is to hurt somebody. If somebody was to kind of either stand up to him or even not stand up to him or whatever the case may be. So I don't believe
Regardless,
personally that he should have any kind of repercussions to this situation, but at the same time, you also have to know your laws.
Right.
And
Mhm.
that's one big thing that if you are going to buy a firearm or you are going to carry, whether it be an open carry, because I do believe Texas is a non-licensed
Open
open
carry.
carry state, right?
yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, which is the
hmm
same as Louisiana. We are a non-licensed open carry state, but we are a licensed concealed carry state.
Yeah, same here.
So whether you are open carrying
Wait,
or concealed
I
carrying a
don't think we
firearm,
need a license to conceal carry.
yeah, I'm not 100% sure.
I don't think so.
I'm not 100%
Texas,
up
yeah.
to date on Texas laws when it comes to
Yeah,
firearms.
no.
As
hmm
far as Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, yes, but Texas, no. I don't go that direction
It
all
gets
that much.
it gets kind of crazy with the laws because Texas is a very stand your ground and pro gun state. Like, you know, this goes to like the guy robbing the place. Um, whether his back was turned or not, I believe the customer that fired his weapon, I believe he waited for the perfect timing so that nobody else in the restaurant was hurt. You know, he did fire
hmm
multiple shots, and none of them striking anybody else but him. Um, you know, the fact that he's facing charges is kind of crazy. Um, but I believe this may be something that gets dismissed. I mean, I don't see anywhere in that situation that he's in the wrong.
Well,
hmm
unfortunately, it's hard to say that if it's going to get dismissed or not because of the fact that he did shoot him in the back. Now, I can't, like I said, I can't speak on Texas laws, but I do know in the state of Louisiana, say if somebody was to break into your house,
Your house,
um,
yes,
you cannot shoot them in the back. Instantly,
yeah,
if you shoot them in the back, you're going to jail for murder.
yep,
Um, I do also know that you were not supposed to only shoot once. I was
yeah,
told by a cop that if
you,
somebody was to break into your house,
yep,
whether you hit them, you don't hit them, don't stop pulling that trigger until you hear click. because in the state of Louisiana, and I guess you're saying yes, so I'm assuming the state of Texas too.
Texas.
If you shoot one shot, it is considered premeditated.
So what it is you the person can walk away and actually sue if they want. Uh, so you're told to shoot to kill. I mean,
Okay, see, well, that's what I was saying. Like I was talking about to kill. Like say if you put one between the eyes,
yes,
they
yeah. I mean,
consider that to be premeditated if you only fire one shot. You can't shoot them in the back, and then, like you said, here in the state of Louisiana, it's the same way. If you was say if somebody was to break into your house and you was to shoot them and hit them in the leg, and then you called 911 or whatever, they do have the option of suing you, which to me
yes,
is probably the most stupidest thing because
yeah.
they were
Pretty much.
breaking in my
Hey,
house. I'm defending my thing, and
I'm letting them live.
Does that
Letting them
count?
live.
Does that law count to single chambered, like shotgun breakover shotguns or anything like
um,
that? Because you can only shoot once.
no, I don't believe the law pertains to break open shotguns, but they do consider a break open shotgun a self defense or home defense
Home
weapon.
defense.
A handgun, like me, I carry a 9mm, something like
As
that. They
well
don't
do I.
necessarily consider it a home defense gun. Shotguns are,
Hmm.
um, which to me doesn't make no sense. But you
Shotguns
know,
are nice. Put a little
shotguns are
bird
nice.
shot
I
in there
do.
and they won't come back,
Well,
but they'll still be alive.
put a little bit of
Just
rock
go
salt in there,
pepper.
and then they can't do anything about it.
Pepper 'em
Good
up.
luck, kid. Don't do that. Um, so the guy that was brandishing the firearm, just so I could be clear about this, that was the first incident, right?
Yes.
That was the first incident. He was the first one that went in there to rob the restaurant.
Yes.
Okay.
And then days later, they were robbed again at night. Except this was more burglary because
Nobody was there.
nobody was there. He broke in and stole. So the other one was armed robbery.
So it
Okay, so
wasn't
you know
the
what this
angry
sounds like
brother
a
or
case
something
of
like
to
Wait,
me.
that. Revenge on the store.
Maybe.
Rhino said, "Wait,
so the armed robbery, were they holding them hostage or were they just threatening and then grabbing the money?
Threatening and grabbing the
just
money.
threatening, grabbing money and
Well,
Okay.
valuables."
real quick, by definition, if you're not letting someone leave and they're wanting to leave, that's technically holding hostage. So
And
yes, I would say they were, in my opinion.
the state's eyes, they don't look at it like that.
Yeah,
And
they
and
have to
it's
make like a
really,
threat with them
Yeah,
yeah,
they
it's
have to
really
use them
screwed up.
against like they want money or power or something.
Yeah, they have to hold them in exchange for it to be considered a hostage situation. And like I said, in the state of, like in the eyes of the government and stuff like that, a lot of it doesn't make sense.
Hmm.
Just like the whole shooting in the back thing. I mean, if I got a shot, I'm gonna take it.
Yes.
Um,
But let's say someone did have a gun to your head. Would you get up when they have the gun pointed at you to shoot them? Even if it was fake and you are scared, would you stand
no.
up right there and shoot? No, you wouldn't. You would wait until you have a clean shot and they're turned around.
But you can always
But
say,
that's just
hey, and get their attention to have them turn around.
Yes, and actually, that is what you were supposed to do. You're supposed to be able, because what it is in the eyes
You
of the
give them
state,
one
they're
warning, but
supposed to. You're not even a warning. They're supposed to be able to have the option to defend themselves. And if you shoot somebody in the back, whether or not they have a gun brandishing it or not, they don't consider that a self-defense state. So they can't turn around or they can't see it coming. They cannot defend themselves. They consider it to be defenseless. And because of that, that is why it's considered to be illegal.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
it does
but
not.
So,
But it does.
it does
so
and it doesn't. So they just, what it is they do it like that in order to kind of keep other things from colliding with as far as the laws go. But at the same time, it doesn't make sense either because I do believe in a situation like that where he was brandishing a firearm. I do believe that is a justified action to me. Now, if he wasn't brandishing a firearm or anything like that, say if it was like a knife or whatever, I don't see that being justified there. But Going back to what
A
we
knife
said,
can be
From
more
his-
dangerous
I mean, it
in
can.
some cases.
It can in some instances, but if you got to look at it like this: if he walks 20 feet away from you and you stand up and you yell "Hey," and he turns around,
Right.
I mean, unless he throws a knife at you, he's not going to get to you to stab you before you're able to pull that trigger within a 20 feet span.
Right, but
Mhm.
if
But-
you've got a gun and they've got a knife and they're 20 feet away, logically you can just tell them to drop a knife and they
Yeah,
would do it.
but you also got to go by the state laws and the federal laws that are. I mean, in a way, if you're going to shoot them, you're going to shoot them. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because at the same time, they may go and drop the knife, but you don't know that they have a gun or not. So
Right.
it's kind of it all really contradicts itself, and it doesn't really make sense. But I mean, that's just
Right.
the laws that they keep passing, and they base it all under gun control and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And to me, I don't think it's right.
I have a question for Baker. Oh, my fault. So, he is. Do you know what he's being sentenced with? Like, years, life?
No, he's going to a grand jury,
Okay.
so they can decide if the case is worth going to court with and doing all the steps to being him being processed as a criminal. But it's not like they've decided he's in the wrong or not.
Innocent
So
until proven guilty.
yeah,
Right.
and so they're not. They haven't, they haven't said anything or what he's looking at, as far as year or time wise. But I mean, they've also they kept him unnamed because he has yet to been found guilty.
Yeah, they're not gonna release a name because they don't want people to be able to go and form opinions of somebody who um, may look at them as though they're guilty, or they may look at it as though they're not guilty, and then they come out the other way, and it's one big process whenever you're arrested for firearms charges in a situation like that. There's actually programs. I do believe it's NSCCA or NSCA or something like that. There's programs and what's the word that I'm looking for? Organizations. Yeah, organizations that are specifically, you know, built around the aspect of being able to help somebody in a situation like that. So that is one good thing about, if he can get a hold to those people and he can have them take his case. There's lawyers that are, specifically trained and, practiced under that stipulation.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to add to that one, Beaker?
No, it kind of, transitions.
Okay, Switch. So you have one that kind of leaves the same open and discussion, but in a different sense. So you want to go ahead and explain that one, please?
Yeah. So there was a 6-year-old boy in Newport, Virginia, who shot his teacher through the hand and upper chest. Uh, they're the police are wanting to prosecute the mother because it was the parents. I don't know if both parents or just the one parent, because the weapon used was purchased legally by the mother. And there's no law in Virginia that says you have to keep your weapon locked up. But there is a law that says you anyone under the if you leave a weapon out in a position for someone
Under
under
14.
14 and under, yeah, then you could get fined for $2,500 and or up to a year in prison or jail or something like that.
Okay, so
But
basically what they're saying is the argument is the fact that the 6-year-old was able to get a hold of the gun. Would she be
right,
arrested?
there's no word on how he got a hold of the gun, but he did transport the weapon to school in his backpack.
Okay,
I don't know
so
if you.
But it's 100%. I'm a fault truck.
no. Go ahead, Fernando.
But it's 100% known that that was the mother's gun.
Yes,
Yes,
yeah,
it was registered under the mother's name and everything. It was her firearm that was in their
right.
household.
Okay, so as far
Okay.
as like you was asking or like stating whether or not you didn't know if it was just the mother or the parents, in a situation like this, being how the gun is registered under the mother's name, she is
Yes.
legally responsible. And
Yep.
I'm gonna tell you where this one gets a little bit tricky at is okay. So state law will never supersede federal law.
Yep.
But there are state laws that are put into effect that will kind of help out with the federal laws and stuff like that. So I don't know, it kind of don't make sense whenever you really start to break it down. But how I'm going to say it is whether or not they go to try to charge her federally or within the state is they're going to determine what's going to happen to her, because even though there's not a state law saying that you have to lock up your firearms. That is what you said, right? That there's no
Right.
state law about locking up your firearms, but there
Correct.
is a law stating that you can be fined or spend up to a year in jail if it is accessible by somebody under the age of 14.
Right.
Now, that's not saying that the gun wasn't obtained through a gun safe or something like that, because that is very possible. If not, and she is charged within the state, they would have to go by the statute of the first law. It is not illegal to have to lock up your firearms, but she would either be fined or spend a year up to jail. That would be how that would go. But now, if they was to charge her federally, and where it really kind of doesn't make sense because they can decide whether they're going to charge you federally or not. If they was to charge you federally by federal law, if somebody gets a hold to your firearm and you have not reported it stolen within the first 24 hours or 48 hours and a crime is committed within that first 24 or 48 hours, you are liable for whatever
What
crime was
happened?
committed. You are
Yeah.
considered an accessory too. So it's really in that situation going to depend on what it is that they decide to do, whether or not charge her federally or within the state itself. And being how did the teacher die during this incident, or was she just wounded?
No, as a matter of fact, she was able to get the 17 to 20 of the other students out of the classroom, and another uh, at a loss of the word school employee. Sorry, another school employee was able to
Staff member.
apprehend the boy and disarm him. I guess within
Yeah,
5
6-year-old
minutes.
child, you wave a lollipop in their face, they'll drop the gun.
Right. Yeah.
Wait,
Within
so
5 minutes, he was in a police car.
so what were the casualties? Were there like any deaths? Or
Not as of
There was
yet.
only the firing
So
on the teacher.
Yeah, there was
that's what I
only
was
the
okay,
fixing to
one
say. The only the teacher
discharge.
was shot, right?
Yeah.
So being how she was wounded and not
did she?
killed,
Right.
it would lead me to believe that it would be kept within state instead of federal. So who knows? It could go either way. She may be charged.
I brought up the thing where she may be charged. The court may even take it as far as having her pay for medical bills and loss of work or whatever the case may be, as far as causing something like that or being responsible for something like that.
Yeah.
It may fine her, and she may have community service with being responsible for the medical bills that comes with the shooting.
Well, in some
Yeah.
way, shape, or form, she is going to be held responsible, whether or not it'll be serving jail time or paying fines and medical bills and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The mother will be held responsible for the fact that her child was able to get a hold of the firearm and was able to bring it to school. But at 6 years old, I don't know what they really do with a child in that kind of situation.
Well, him being 6 years old, and the law in Virginia of oh,
The under the age of 14.
he's under anybody
Well,
under the
he
age of
just meets the
7.
deadline of
Anybody under the
Not
age of
taking any kind of.
seven cannot be prosecuted because they do not understand criminal intent. It's the something safety act, child safety act, I think.
Well,
Or law.
I'm gonna say it like this: in a situation like this, is kind of where you really want to throw that law out the window, because now that is to
Apparently,
protect,
it
like,
is
say if
true.
a child was to get a hold to a firearm inside of the house, shoot his parent, kill him. Then a child cannot be charged if they are under the age of 7 because they don't quite understand. Yes, I get that, and I get where they're coming from. But this kid was 6 years old. He got a hold of this gun, put it in his backpack, carried it to school. And now when we was talking about this, and as far as bringing it up in the podcast, Beaker had mentioned the fact that this kid had some really good, really strong willpower not to pull that
Yeah.
out and show his friends and stuff like that. So in my mind, that just shows to me that this kid had ill intent in his heart.
Well, I don't know because from what I understood of the situation, when he did pull it out, the only reason why the teacher got shot was because
He went to
she,
confiscate it.
yeah, went to confiscate it, and he pointed it at her, and that's when she took up a defensive position, putting her hand out, and that's when he shot.
So then
So
that
he
also
may have.
makes me wonder if the gun went off accidentally, if he even meant to shoot her to begin with. I don't know.
Wait, so
He
A
did.
lot of
He
it
did. He
doesn't make
said he did,
sense.
Oh, so
but he doesn't know why.
his intent was to get the gun and shoot his teacher.
Yeah, but he.
Because I mean, you don't make like a kid that makes it, throughout, somewhat of the day with a gun in his backpack. I mean, that's not just normal. I mean,
Yeah, when I
And the
was in
shooting
school, all the
happened at
kids that had
1:59.
guns in their backpacks, they kept it in there throughout the entire day. But that was in high school, and those kids were a little fucked up.
Well, the
so it's
shooting
hard.
happened at 1:59. So
So he
it
was
hadn't been
literally
there
at the
in
end
the
of
backpack for a while.
the
Yeah,
day.
Yeah.
pretty much, yeah.
I was
See, and
changing
that
periods.
just tells me right then and there that there's just something more going on with that story, and we may not get it because he is 6 years old. So, but
Right.
to me, it does sound like some kind of ill intent, because there's no way he's been that lucky to make it through the entire day if he was taking out every class, showing his friends and stuff like that.
Exactly. I don't know the statistics on how many shootings happen every year in schools, but according to David Reedman, the founder of K through 12 school shootings database,
Hmm.
which tracks U.S. shootings on school grounds dating back to 1970, said shootings by a child on a campus are extremely rare. This is also the 17th shooting by someone under the age of 10 years of age in a school.
Yeah, I mean, well, I could see
So,
that, like that being a very rare occurrence.
exactly.
But I mean, I guess once you would start talking about like kids in high school and stuff like that, that's where that number would probably
Changes.
jump up significantly.
Exactly.
Um. So, is there anything else, Switch, that you have, or anybody else that has to add to that?
Not really. That was pretty much all I wanted, was to get everybody's opinion on why, if and why we should, if they should prosecute the mother.
Yeah, and it kind of decide, like, the two cases that we mentioned, kind of decide, if it's, if they're right or wrong for being prosecuted, or um facing any kind of consequences for either or actions that were dealt on both sides of the, stories.
Yeah, and
I think
go ahead.
I think the mother is at fault, but I don't think she should be prosecuted. I think she should have put her gun up in a better location. Maybe taught her kid not to play with guns.
Hmm.
Yeah, I believe if you're gonna have a child, um, and have a gun accessible, you should teach the gun. Not teach the gun. Teach the kid about the gun.
Right.
Well, okay,
This
so
is a child.
this kind of goes back into the whole me thing. I do have firearms. I have multiple firearms that do stay. They're not locked up per se, and my roommate does have a child, and my guns stay picked up away from her,
Right. Out of reach.
out of
Mhm.
reach. There's no way possible
Oh,
for her to get
possible. Yep.
to any firearm, and that's how it should be. And she's only, I believe, 4 or 5 years old. When she was to get older, that's, in my opinion, when you would start to teach them about, firearms, the safety of them, and stuff like that. At 4 or 5 years old, a child shouldn't really know what. They'll know what a firearm is with the toys and stuff like that they have nowadays, TV shows and everything like that. But they should not be allowed within reach of a child of that age.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that if you are gonna have a gun and you are gonna show it to your child, teach them gun rules. But if you're gonna have a child and not show them a gun and they have no clue about the gun, I'm pretty sure it's fine. But she did not teach her son rule guns, and she had her gun accessible. Mm-hmm. So I do believe she is in fault. That is my opinion.
Well, yeah, no matter what, she's going to be put at some kind of fault. But the question is how severe will it be on her? With that being said, I do want to talk about somebody who actually was arrested. Somebody that we know for sure got arrested. So I don't know if now we've all talked about it, but I don't know if anybody in here in the chat or on the YouTube has remembers Kai the Hitchhiker. Kai the Hitchhiker was a guy.
Oh boy.
Yeah, right. Kai the Hitchhiker was a guy back in 2013 whose real name was Caleb. I'm probably butcher his last name, McGillivray. Back in 2013, I do believe it was, he went viral on the internet and on news media outlets and stuff like that over saving a woman's life. Really, it was more of the way that he explained it after the situation took place. So Kai the Hitchhiker was, well, I mean, it's in his name, hitchhiking. To which he then received a ride from, and I'm not gonna say too many names for me to try to keep up with. So I mean, if y'all want to know more, we'll talk about that here in a minute. So he did receive a ride from a gentleman who basically was off of his rocker. This man claimed to be Jesus and that he can do what he wants when he wants. To which he then proceeded to run a utility worker over. Not completely. He ended up pinning him between two vehicles, or between a light pole and a vehicle. My bad. I'm sorry about that. To which Kai then got out of the vehicle to try to attempt to help the utility worker. To which then the driver got out and began to attack a woman who was also there, who was trying to help with the utility worker. And Kai, fearing for this woman's life, he took a hatchet out of his backpack and struck the man in the back of the head repeatedly. And from that, from the news video and stuff like that, he had gotten real famous real fast, viral. So much so that he appeared on, I do believe it was I want to say it was the Jimmy Fallon show he did appear on, and all kinds of stuff. Shortly after appearing on the show, he was arrested for murder for killing a New Jersey attorney, Joseph Gaffey, who was a 73-year-old man. What's up, Glock? So what had happened is that he was staying in a terminal and was sleeping. He woke up. The guy, he had met him the day before, but he had came back and had asked him if he would like a ride and a place to stay and some food and stuff. So then, now this is Kai's supposed story. So he did agree, went back to this man's house, to which he then tried to say that everything that he did afterwards was self-defense. He said that the man drugged his food because he don't remember what happened after he ate, and that when he came to, the man was on top of him, naked, trying to sexually assault him. To which he said he was acting in self-defense and killed him. I want to say about a month later, they found him, and he was arrested out of state and brought back, to which he served he went to trial. So what had happened was it ended up taking, I do believe, it took 6 years to go to trial. So this is something that is in 2019. It took 6 years to go to trial, but it only took 4 weeks to convict him. After the autopsy and whoever else needed to look at the body, they had come to the conclusion that with the lacerations on his face, the broken ribs, and the bodily harm that he took to his arms and his legs and stuff like that, that it wasn't a self-defense standpoint. So at the end of it, after 6 years waiting to go to trial, it only took them 4 weeks to convict him and sentence him to 57 years in prison. The court judge said to him at the time of the sentencing, and I quote, "You are crafty, you are cunning, and you are disingenuous. You are manipulative," is what he told Kyle. He said, describing numerous ways in which the convicted attempted to cover his tracks. And I quote, "And when you become eligible for parole, you will still be younger than Mr. Gaffey when you murdered him." So when the sentencing was done, he was in his sentencing, he was convicted to 57 years in prison. But in order for him to be paroled, he has to serve at least 85% before being eligible for parole. So I just want to say how that when they found him and they arrested him, that they found a list of sex offenders in his backpack, to which they believed that he was making a vigilante justice tour, is basically what they said that he was doing. And
Right on, Kai.
right, as far as everything goes, and this is going to kind of lead on into our next subject. If you do want to hear more about Kai's story, on January 10th, 2023, actually, what would that be? That would be yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So as of yesterday, on the 10th, as of yesterday on Netflix, you can go watch the hatchet wielding hitchhiker. Which is going to lead us into our next thing, because, and I've been waiting to say this right here. So for the first time since 2008, Harrison Ford will reprise his role as Indiana Jones in Indiana Jones and the Dial of Death on June 30th, 2023. And for being somebody who was really into the Indiana Jones movies, and hell, even like the games, all the way down to like the Lego game,
Pretty cool.
this is, to me, awesome. And from what I kind of gathered a little bit is this right here is kind of like him coming out of retirement. They do show him like as a professor, because you can go and watch the trailer on IMDb. It does show him as a professor who comes out of like the adventuring retirement and going back into the archaeological side of things instead of just teaching it. And on June 30th, best believe I will be, in the movie theaters watching this movie.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited about it myself.
Right.
I'll get the popcorn.
Another one. Now we got
No,
a couple
can't
more
wait.
on this list, and I'm going to tell you this one. Then I'm going to let Switch go ahead and tell you the next two. So another one that I do believe is going to be a good movie on that people should keep an eye out for. On December 15th, 2023, we're going to get a movie called Wonka, starring Timothée Chalamet. This movie right here is going to be kind of like a before Wonka was Wonka movie. I don't know too much about it because I didn't really get the chance to watch like the trailer or stuff like that. But of all the Willy Wonka movies that have come out, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, all of those, it'll be interesting to see exactly what it is they do with this movie and how they'll portray him in his younger years. So I think it'd be cool to see how it comes up. So now we got two more movies that I know a lot of people are really going to be excited about coming out. Switch, would you like to
I
list
didn't
those two
watch
off?
John Wick 3 all the way through, but John Wick 4 is coming out on March 24th, 2023 this year, which I'll be excited to go and finish John Wick 3 and then watch this one. Because, it's Keanu Reeves. Everybody loves Keanu Reeves,
Ain't
right?
that the truth?
Yeah. He puts a lot of work into this stuff.
Yeah, he's really
Yeah, he's training for
capable of all that stuff
Yes,
that he
he
does in the
really
movie.
goes through all this stuff.
Yeah, and
Sorry to hate the man.
right, and then October 9th, this year, a movie called Ferrari is coming out with Adam Driver. You all know who that is, right? Kylo Ren.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Kylo Ren from Star
Yeah,
Wars. Yeah.
right. Star Wars was the only place I've ever seen him, really.
Yep, that's about the only place I know Adam from.
Same here, to be honest with you.
And then we had a couple of TV shows that someone wanted to bring up, right?
Well, talking on the Kylo Ren thing, coming out. I think it is March 1st. I mean, you can fact check me on that one. I'm not 100% sure. I don't have it written down. The new season of The Mandalorian is coming out on Disney Plus. Now, me personally, I've yet to watch this show. I do actually have Disney Plus now. I didn't have it before.
It's
And
great.
Oh,
Yeah,
it
we've
is.
read
It is great.
I
It's
am
really
really
good.
looking forward to watching that. But going into TV shows and stuff like that, we also have like a show called The Last of Us coming out, which I do believe is going to be based off the video game and stuff like that. But I want to
And
go
that one,
back.
I believe the game. Oh, my fault.
that one also has the Mandalorian in actor wise because Pedro Pascal plays the Mandalorian as well.
Okay,
As
so
well,
yeah, so I mean
yeah,
it's all kind of fitting itself together right here.
yeah.
But those are two shows for sure that I'm really ready to come out. But I want to kind of step back on the whole Adam Driver thing.
He's got a new role coming up. Maybe he's
Yeah,
possibly got a new role.
possibly. So you want to go
Yeah.
ahead and explain that one, Switch?
All right.
Possibly.
So it's a possible of two different roles. I don't know if y'all are familiar with Fantastic Four.
Oh,
Right?
I
Are
yeah,
y'all
we're
fans?
somewhat
I'm
familiar with Fantastic Four.
definitely
Yes.
All right.
100%
Well,
familiar.
so it's reported that Driver is in the running for either Mr. Fantastic or Doctor Doom. Although, I want you to take this with a grain of salt because this is coming from industry insider Jeff Snyder, as well as Beyond the Trailer's Grace Randolph, which both of them had occasional scoops pan out, but it's not exactly.
It's all speculation.
Exactly. It's not coming from the rooster's mouth, you know what I mean? And just to touch more base on it, I was wanting to know who would y'all like to see him play?
So, as far as Adam being Reed Richards, I don't feel
Yeah.
so. I did see John. Sorry if I
Krinsky.
yeah,
Krinsky.
Krinsky.
Yeah,
The
the guy
guy
from
who
The Office.
played.
Yeah,
Yeah, the guy who played Jim in The Office.
yes,
Yeah.
obviously, everyone,
Obviously.
obviously, obviously.
Good pun.
But yes, I do like him. You know, as Reed Richards. Now I do see Adam being a Doctor Doom.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
I
he's
can
definitely a good
see.
bad guy.
Yeah, I can see him being a
Especially with
Doctor Doom.
him growing out his beard.
Yes.
Is he still growing it out?
No. As of right now, he doesn't have it.
No, I think he
Oh.
only grew it out for that for one of the movies that he was doing.
Well, he's
See,
technically got 2 years because the movie's not
Yeah.
supposed to come out until February 14th of 2025.
yeah,
Yes.
so he's still got a long time to regrow that beard if he wants to. But I
Yeah.
kind of want to touch on what Beaker said and what Switch said is he plays a good bad guy, and I mean, of course, Kylo Ren. With him playing a good bad guy, I think it would be kind of nice to see him kind of switch it up a little bit, and I
And
think it'd be
change
nice
sides
to,
for once.
yeah, change sides. I think it'd be nice to kind of see how he would portray that role of Reed Richards in Mr. Fantastic.
I don't know if
Mhm.
he's old enough though.
I
Like
don't.
look wise. I mean, he might be old enough as, but I don't think he can pull it off because
Yeah,
I'm
I
used to.
don't. Yeah, the original Reed Richards had that mature, grown up. You know,
Mhm.
like he had been through some stuff. You know.
In my opinion, Benedict Cumberbatch would be a better Reed Richards
Yeah.
because he's actually got the that look. He pulls off Doctor Strange pretty good, and I always felt that both Doctor Strange and Reed Richards looked similar.
Now, if
Uh,
we're not basing it off of looks, I do say Adam is a really good actor, and I can see him playing a really good Reed Richards if we're not going based off the looks or,
I can agree with that. Yeah.
you know.
Well,
Mhm.
yeah. When it comes to acting and stuff like that, yeah, of course. Whenever you hear these names, you do have like a specific look in mind, but that doesn't mean that people can't portray it perfectly. I mean, and we could kind of switch to another movie here for a second. Now, me personally, I haven't watched this movie, and I know some people that absolutely love it, some people that absolutely hate it. We could take the new Batman movie for example,
Oh
with
my
Robert
god.
Pattinson.
No.
To me, Robert Pattinson's not a Batman, and we kind of discussed this before. Christian Bale will always be Batman in my eyes and my heart, and
Val
or
Kilmer
George
for me.
Clooney and
I
Ben
mean,
Affleck. I'll even take Ben Affleck.
I'll take Ben Affleck.
Um, but
I
like I
take
said,
Adam
some
West.
people absolutely loved the new Batman movie, and like I said, me personally, I haven't watched it mostly because of the fact that Robert Pattinson's in it, and it's just never like watching the trailer and stuff like that. It didn't really like catch my attention like every other Batman did, and I don't want to
Mhm.
ruin that memory of Batman for myself. Uh, but to me, when I think of Batman, Robert Pattinson is the furthest name from my mind. Now, when I think of vampire, Robert Pattinson pops up. He played that fucking role
yeah, yeah.
perfectly, and
Yeah.
because of that, is kind of the reason why he probably got this role as Batman, because you know he's on the he was on the uprise of stardom and stuff like that. And I mean, who better
Mhm.
to have play a superhero than somebody who is at the peak of their um, career? And I mean, that's exactly where he was. But I just don't see him being
Mhm.
a Batman to me. So, and when we go back to this situation, yes, Adam Driver may not have that gruff, aged look to him that the original Reed Richards looked like, but that doesn't mean that he probably couldn't portray the character just as good.
Yeah.
Speaking of, people changing for the role and of Batman, Christian Bale, he was a pretty good Batman. Um, but he's changed through every movie he's played. I'm not saying that Adam Driver can't change just like Christian Bale, but you know, he isn't really
Well,
as like motivated as uh Christian Bale
when it comes to
because he can play like completely different characters. You know what I mean?
Christian Bale, um, there's a few movies that stick out. Of course, Batman
Hmm.
being number one. An
American Psycho.
American
Yep.
Fighter
Yeah.
being number two. The role that he played
Really?
in, yes, the role that he played in that movie was absolutely phenomenal. Uh, and the only reason why you put Batman over that is the fact that it is Batman, um, a very popular, wide known superhero. Um,
My Christian Bale movies definitely go of the American Batman. Um, but just because I love the American Psycho so much,
yeah.
and I'm more of a Marvel fan than DC.
And then
That's
not
kind
only
of
that,
getting
let me
off
tell
the
you another
subject.
role that Christian Bale played perfectly was a Ford versus Ferrari. The role that he played in that movie, I don't think they could have found anybody better to portray.
I didn't watch that one.
That was a good
Look, if you
movie.
haven't watched that movie,
That is a
I
good movie.
I would really suggest going and watching that movie, and especially
Please come
if
back to
the
it.
Ferrari one kind of piqued your interest when we was talking about it, because I'm not 100% sure, but I would say that kind of plays off of one another, because Ford versus Ferrari kind of showed how you know it made its way up there, and now who knows? Ferrari might show its a little bit of backstory. I don't know. I just think it'd be interesting to take a look at as far as
I
he
do
goes.
believe that Christian Bale had a movie in 2022. I just don't know the name. That's something I'd probably have to go look up.
Oh, I'm sure he has. I mean, it's Christian Bale. Who wouldn't want to book him for a movie unless he didn't want to do it himself? But no,
I mean,
back to the Adam Driver thing. Getting off of Christian Bale for a second. I just think having him switch up from playing the bad guy to playing the good guy would be a nice little change of pace.
Yeah, and I can see him doing that. I
Mhm.
can see him playing the role really well. Like I said, if we're not going off of looks, I think he has the role. I mean, he can.
Right.
He's well versed actor to play that role perfectly fine.
Well, nothing's set in stone, so
Yeah,
there. As,
but I would honestly love to see him just as evil as Doctor Doom, the
yeah.
way he was as Kylo Ren.
Mhm.
He did his thing. He did whatever he kind of wanted. I want to, you know, he did his part.
I mean,
So
technically, Kylo Ren in the end was a good guy, right? He
Yes,
switched
yeah,
but
sides.
he was
No
portrayed
spoil-
as not
spoilers.
being.
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I guess we could say that Darth Vader at the end was a good guy, but through that he definitely was not.
I
He
mean,
was a good
depending
guy at the
on
beginning
which
too.
side you're looking at it from, Luke and Anakin Skywalker and all the rest of them were the bad guys.
They were trying to take down a built government.
Vader started out as a good guy as well, by the way. Just saying.
Yeah. Well, no, that's
Well, I mean,
Anakin
if you want to, well,
Skywalker.
yeah, that's Anakin Skywalker, but that's what I'm
Duh.
saying. Before, when it was just Emperor Palpatine or whatever, and Anakin
Yeah.
was trying to stop him before he joined the dark side and everything. I mean, if you want to get technical, all the people that were already on the dark side looked at him as the bad guy.
Right.
So it's kind of really a perspective thing.
Yeah. That's what most villains are. It's just they see a certain different way, and that's why we have wars.
Yeah, we're not going to get into that topic.
Yeah.
So, seeing Adam Driver as a hero instead of a villain, him making that jump from one side to the other, I think would be an interesting thing. And I think that's really all I have to say on it.
All right. So who played Adam Reed better in your opinion?
Who's the one that played in the Silver Surfer in the first one?
yeah, that's the
That's the original.
yeah.
He did.
I-
Look, I'm gonna tell you this right here. I don't care what the role is or anything like that. 9 out of 10 times, the original will always be the best. Except for whenever it comes to Batman, Christian Bale's still the best.
well,
No, Adam West.
I know that names
George
such
Clooney.
as Ken Budgley, John Krasinski, and
Isn't
Diego
that-
Luna played him, but I don't know. Like, I can only put a face to Krasinski. I don't know which one is.
There's okay, so that's a guy's name. He did the Facebook movie. He did the some I forget his name, but he also played he played the 2015 version of Mr. Fantastic, or Reed Richards.
Yeah, see, y'all have me at a loss here when y'all.
Mhm.
There was a time where all I did was watch movies, and then there was a time where I didn't watch movies at all, and then I'm kind of still in that time, but I mean, I've kind of gotten more into watching movies again.
Miles Teller is his name. Miles Teller. He
Oh
played.
yeah.
That's the one with Michael B. Jordan and Kate Mara. Mara.
Right.
He he's the guy that played Reed Richards, which I didn't like either. So I
Yeah,
mean,
but who
as far
played
as
the original Reed Richards? That's
Like-
was the question that I had asked.
Uh,
that was
I think I
What's
read off bad names for you. Sorry. Because Diego Luna wouldn't Reed Richards.
his name is Lone Grufford.
Isn't
Alright,
it spelled like Gruffudd?
Yeah.
Yeah, Grifford.
Okay, so
Griffalder,
however you
I
say
think.
his name, well, So I'm not
Lone
going to try to
Grifford?
pronounce it. If y'all having issues pronounce it, then that would be my pick.
Lone Grifford.
So I mean, as far as that topic, I mean, is y'all got anything else y'all want to add to it?
With Lone Gifford, I'm a full switch.
Oh, you're good.
With Lone Gifford, I do get him and Miles Taylor mixed up all the time.
Who? Him and who?
Miles Taylor.
Oh
He
yeah,
played Whiplash,
yeah.
and then he was also in, I believe, the Top Gun Maverick.
Yes, he was in Top Gun Maverick. He was indeed, I believe that as well.
Yeah.
You know who else was in Top Gun Maverick?
The one, the only.
Well, who are you talking about? The one and only.
Tom Cruise.
I was just talking about everybody that played in Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah, everybody else that was in
Oh.
it.
Everybody else.
My
Yeah,
fault.
where are you at, Ferno? You lost in the conversation.
Got to give credit to those jets. You know, they did their thing.
Fuck them fuel tanks,
Yeah,
man. They just rocked that.
Yeah.
You know, Glenn Powell.
I don't think they could have had a better look. We don't know names. We're talking about fuel tanks and jets, homeboy.
Oh, my
I
fault.
wanted to clarify the first person who played Mr. Fantastic was Gerald Mohr, M-O-H-R.
Okay,
You're
we're talking
going
about like
all the
my
way.
time. We're not talking about your time, Switch.
Oh, I'm not that old.
Yeah, no, that's why I didn't go that far back, but I knew exactly.
I want early 2000s. Was it 2000? What 7? That
It
movie
was
came out.
2005.
Oh, 2005.
2007, 2008, Silver Surfer came out.
Yeah, and they could have did so much more with those shows, and I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, they did plan to. It just didn't work out.
Yeah. I mean, that's what happens when you like have such a touchy like movie. You know, you can't drag it on.
I do believe that they planned on making a trilogy out of it, and they just never got around to making the third movie.
They had Jessica Alba in there. I mean,
yeah, I know that's what made the whole movie.
Right?
Exactly.
Jessica Alba's bae.
Yeah.
Is that
Ain't
how
that
you
the
say
truth?
that?
Yeah.
Her and Jennifer Aniston. Like they just don't age.
I gotta agree. Both of them. But I think, as far as everything goes, I think that's we're gonna call it there, and we do appreciate everybody for tuning in to the episode, and we hope y'all enjoyed, hearing us talk about the
The very
podcast
different.
and everything, and it's a lot different from the first one. But I hope y'all enjoyed it just as much as we enjoyed doing this for y'all.
Yes, very much so.
If y'all just keep an eye out for the next couple days, and I'll have Link go ahead and Switch go ahead and put the link in the chat.
Oh,
we will be
crap.
posting it to YouTube.
Give me a minute.
I'm shooting for tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then it would be posted Friday. I do want to leave y'all with one thing, and we're gonna try to do this at the end of every podcast, and it's a quote, and it says, "The future depends on what you do today." So I just want y'all to take that with y'all, and I want y'all to think about it, and kind of try to see how it correlates into your life and what it is that you could have did today to impact your future, whether it be good or bad, and what it is that you can do to continue to impact your future to the good. So
I believe
that being
that
said,
today.
go ahead.
I'm awful. I think today that we all here just impacted our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, and today here, I mean, and this is 2.5 hours that we've been sitting here doing this, and I think it's really nice to have people come in here who can sit in here for a little bit and just take a listen to what it is that we're talking about, and kind of let everything else around them just melt away some, because it's little things like this, little things to y'all, little things to us, that makes everything worth it. And doing this podcast for y'all, and that this is something that's been heavily talked about for the last couple of days between me and Baker specifically. we want to make sure that everything it is that we do is up to quality standards for y'all and for everybody else. So any feedback that anybody may have or whatever the case may be, don't be afraid to put it in the comments, or hell, even message me personally, because we just want to do the best we can for y'all and for anybody else who will watch this video. Because that's the point. We all have in our mind where we would like to be at with this podcast, and we would like to get it there. And by getting it there would be making sure each and every one of y'all enjoys it.
Yeah, we want to make sure y'all are involved. I mean, our big priority is getting y'all involved, asking us questions, being there to kind of change our perspective, or maybe give us a different perspective on the topics that we talk about. Maybe give us insight or something that you may know that we didn't touch base upon. So, I mean, we just want a community that interacts with each other. If anything, I mean, I'm always open for any kind of questions, any kind of, whatever. Same thing with Travis. If you need to message either or, we're free for it. I mean,
yeah, even if you got to get in contact with us through here, through Twitch, or if you want to get in contact with us through YouTube or wherever it is, to kind of give us, ideas or whatever the case may be. If y'all want
something
a
y'all want to
specific
hear.
topic that y'all would like us to talk about, just go ahead and let us know, and we'll try to fit it in wherever we can, or we'll do a whole podcast, or maybe even like a little separate video shortened down some about whatever it is that you would like to hear us talk about. Because if y'all want to engage, we want to produce. Which goes back to the making sure that we put out the best possible content for y'all. It's just, and I've said it multiple times here just today, if you're not going to do it 100%, don't do it at all. And that's just how I look at it. And I'm sure each and every one of these gentlemen right here look at it the exact same way.
Agreed.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
But I will leave you on that, and I'll give you the quote one more time. The quote is, "The future depends on what you do today." So go out, do something to
Better
help
your
impact your future for the better. And on that note, we love y'all, and keep an eye out for the next episode.
Yep. Lost the lasagna, don't get any on you.
Y'all have a great week. Anytime you'll see this, just be happy and take it easy. Remember, there's more to life than just, stress.
Ferno, you got anything you like to add?
Have a good day.
Yeah, all right, look, and Inferno's short, simple, sweet, and to the point. Have a good day, guys. Love y'all, and
Till
remember,
next time.
keep an eye out.